hop in the chat on either one. Might get read online, we might not be. Got a lot to talk about here. The NFL full swing, so we'll have our NFL Week 3 Team of the Week and Disappointing Team. We'll have our college football Week 4 Team of the Week. We'll have our and then we'll look ahead to the weeks ahead in the NFL and in college football. But before we get to that, I think we ought to talk about what we all woke up to on our phones this morning about the UNLV quarterback Matthew Sluka deciding to redshirt this year and enter the transfer portal after allegedly that he was apparently offered $100,000 by an assistant coach, and he has received only like 12,000 of it. As
no. He was told he was going to get 12,000 now, and he hasn't received any of it.
Is that okay? Or I thought he got like 3,000 of it to cover his like moving costs or something like that.
I thought it said he had a contract for 12,000 and he hasn't gotten any of that. But that was just one story I read.
So I've just been following Pete Thamel's Twitter as the truth is eventually going to come out. Right now it's in the he said she said phase. UNLV statement says that his representative made financial demands upon the university and its NIL collective in order to continue playing. UNLV Athletics interpreted these demands as a violation of the NCAA pay-for-play rules as well as Nevada state law. UNLV does not engage in such activity, nor does it respond to implied threats. UNLV has honored all previously agreed-upon scholarships for Matthew Sluka. UNLV has conducted its due diligence and will continue to operate its programs within the framework of NCAA rules and regulations as well as Nevada state laws. So we we might try to put our lawyer hats on. I mean, it's who knows. And UNLV, they're also debating if they want to move to the Pac-12. So probably the most newsworthy that UNLV football has had since Randall Cunningham was the quarterback there, which, well, I think was before we were all born. And I mean, so if a coach promised $100,000,
well, I thought the NIL stuff was all boosters and someone outside of the football program. Like if a coach is doing this, that just screams NCAA violation, right?
Well,
yes.
I think it is. I think the way what they're saying is that they had something in place from their NIL fund, whatever you want to call it. It sounds like they had it in place or set in stone or something that was promised, but obviously it was not. So there was obviously some wordage going on there that was not agreed upon. I mean, if we're going to sit here and blame anybody, let's be real. This is the NCAA's fault because, anytime there needs to be real leadership, they run with their tail tucked between their legs. Right now this is it. It seems like it's very similar to the that Florida quarterback that was promised and a bunch of money from NIL and it fell through and he got out of his decommitment. Now I don't even know where he's at. I think is he the backup quarterback at Georgia right now?
I don't even know.
Jalen
Rashada. I think that's who that was. I want to say.
I don't remember.
But this is they created this, where there's really no rules and regulations or guidelines. There needs to be, when we had Tyler Siskey on, he talked about it. There needs to be a collective bargaining agreement and lock these players in. So, there's a buyout that if you do decide to leave, this contract, this stuff goes away.
Well, my thing is these players, they need to learn that in the real world, in the business world, just because you have a handshake deal with someone, that don't mean shit. If you don't have a legal document with your signature on there, and maybe it needs to be notarized by someone else that says, I'm going to agree to give this quarterback at UNLV $100,000 by January 1 of 2025 to play in the football season. If you don't have that, you should not expect it to be getting paid. So this is just some young kid who, if you ask me, is stupid and naive, and you should know this. At a school like UNLV, to get someone to go there, you're probably going to have to lie and exaggerate and say, "Oh yeah, hey, I'll get you this money." But if you don't have some legal documentation that says you're going to get it, no one can hold someone else to the letter of the law in this country. So that's on this kid for being stupid, if you ask me. But yes, Dylan.
And not to mention that the kid's getting, and you see it a lot with this transfer portal era, is kids just getting terrible advice from the wrong people that
100%.
really don't have their kid's best interest and just decide, we're going to transfer.
And you know what? That booster, was probably some shark in Las Vegas. How many times has he done this in his life to other people and other businesses? Oh, no. I'll get you your money. I'll get you your stuff. This is okay. It's like, you can't. These kids, they got to be smarter than this. Like, you have to realize that just because someone says something, that doesn't mean it's going to happen in life. People lie all the time. I hate to break it to you, but I don't feel bad for him. But also, I feel bad for him. I feel bad for his teammates in this aspect. Their coaches, they're talking about being disciplined, being a team leader, going above and beyond, doing what's best for the team. He bought into that. He went to UNLV to win a bunch of football games. They're 3-0. They've beat Kansas. They've beat Houston. And now all of a sudden he's going to be selfish when this money's not going to come his way, and everything that he preached to his teammates about camaraderie, about discipline and working hard, he's just going to leave in the middle of the season and say, "No, I'm done." I mean, this is some bullshit on that player. And if he goes to a new team, I'd have a hard time accepting him as a good teammate, knowing that if he doesn't get his way, and is he really here to win with us, or is he just here to get the bag and go somewhere else?
Yep.
So it's a bad look on the player.
It is. And, I think Barry Odom seems like a good, all-around good guy, a good coach. And realistically, if there's a place where you to find $100,000, Vegas is a pretty easy spot to. So I don't know. I think I was also listening to something today that was talking about how that, like, he might have been on his way to getting benched anyways, and he kind of used this to his advantage and leveraged it, got out ahead of it, and said that he wasn't, because I believe they had another transfer quarterback out on there that was like a top recruit or something along those lines. Or something like that. I don't know how true that is, but Haj Malik Williams, he was but
Dylan, do we know if Tate Martell has more eligibility, can give UNLV a second crack?
Well, I think he does. He does have he actually was at UNLV.
That's
and he couldn't even make it there. So I don't know if they want to go down that road again.
If there's one man in this country who deserves a fifth chance, it's that douchebag Tate Martell.
That was like, I remember when QB1 came out, and I watched that, and I was like, and I mean, it ended up working out, but like, I was like watching him, the way that kid carried himself. I mean, he was a punk, like didn't take coaching, just did his own thing, thought about himself, only himself. I was like, yes, this is the perfect guy. This guy, they're going to have JT Barrett's going to be the senior. Tate Martell's going to come in, ruin the program. And I was like, oh, yes, it's going to happen. And then Urban had health problems. And they went with Dwayne Haskins. And, it was another sad, somber week.
Rip.
But, yeah, RIP. But it was like, after watching QB1, I don't know, Grant or Ethan, if you guys watched it, but it was like, yeah, this kid ain't going to last in college.
I've seen clips of it, and he just seemed like an arrogant punk. But, I never watched like a full season or anything.
Okay.
And really, Dylan, what saved Ohio State after Dwayne Haskins was that fucking baseball player at the University of Georgia.
Yep.
Out here saying the N-word, allegedly, And then
Allegedly,
innocent until proven guilty.
Justin Fields didn't even earn. We're not going to sit here and say that because that's obviously not a word that you should ever say.
And I'm not joking about that word in general. I'm just making if that baseball player would have kept his mouth shut, if he maybe wouldn't have had that extra whiskey or another beer, guess what? Ohio State's not Ohio State. Maybe Georgia wins a national title before they win one. And you know what? Caleb Williams might not be in Chicago because Justin Fields doesn't get drafted in the first round. I'm just saying. And Jaden Daniels he's in Chicago and he's not tearing it up in Washington. Thanks to that one baseball player at the University of Georgia.
So you're saying he should have stuck to barking at opposing fans?
Yes, he should have just been barking and not using the disgust.
I shouldn't do that. I don't know if Boone's close right now, so I don't want to get him riled up.
He's laying behind me, but he's sick, so he does not care. He is sleeping.
Oh yeah, that's going around, dude. People. There's Dylan, a lot of sick people.
Dylan, you're not wearing a UPS hat.
No, you're good.
Okay, that's true. Maybe I'll get one. Did you know that UPS requires their employees to wear UPS socks?
Yeah.
This is why I like FedEx more. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they wear brown socks that say UPS on them.
Yep, and they look like the hottest, thickest socks.
They're very thick. They are very thick.
They look like wool socks that you wear in the winter.
Oh God, my feet are just warm thinking about it now, and I'm not wearing any socks. At the moment, I'm not wearing any socks.
Grant kind of likes to be Liver King and likes to be connected with the earth, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's why
big health guy.
That's why
That's where he gets his energy from.
Yeah, that's why when I do eat red meat, it's still mooing. I mean, if I eat chicken, it's still clucking.
Amen.
And well, fish. I don't know what noise the fish makes, but I'm sure if you ate that raw, you'd be in a bad place. So we're gonna cook the fish through. Folks.
Yeah. I don't know any type of white meat. I don't know if you want to play with. I don't know if you want to do that dance with the undercooked, especially fish. Chicken you might be able to get away with. Fish you definitely ain't getting away with.
Yeah, not so much. And as a certified food safety manager by the state of Minnesota, I'm cooking my fish through.
Food safety. Wow, Mr. Big Shot over here.
I have mine too, actually.
Certified. So. Dylan, I have a joke for you about that, but I will tell it to you off camera.
Why not? Come on. Well,
I'm just okay. I'm a white man with a badge. I can do whatever I want in Minnesota.
Wow. All right. So, what do you guys want to talk about first? Do you want to recap Week 4 in college football, or do you want to recap Week 3 in the NFL? Ethan, I'll let you pick because Grant went too far there and made some inappropriate jokes. So that's
what do I want to do first? Let's do it. Let's start out on a low note and work our way up. NFL disappointing team.
Oh, all right. So we don't even start with a surprise. So we got the hat and our handy dandy helmets here. So the first pick of the this week's episode of the Three Guys Talking About podcast is going to be the guy that made the decision. So Ethan is picking first, Grant picking second, and just like the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC East, I'm going to be last. So, fellas, Ethan, who is your Week 3 disappointing team in the NFL?
I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know if I went with them last week or not, but I don't care because they are pathetic.
No, I did.
You did. I knew we talked about them.
I said Trevor Lawrence should not be taken serious until he cuts his hair. Grant, you missed it. I don't know if you listened back, but we had this discussion that it's time for Trevor Lawrence to grow up, cut his hair, and become the CEO of the Jaguars and act like it. You can't do it with I can't do the long hair. Just can't.
Well, Sunshine and Remember the Titans cut his hair, and they went on to win the state championship that year. So, point valid.
Yeah. But no, just everything about them on Monday night was just pathetic. Like, I get the Bills are probably a top 2 to 3 team in the NFL, but Jaguars roster is solid. Like, they should be this bad. Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence, they need to figure it out because he has weapons around him. There's that one throw that DeMar Hamlin picked off. Like, there's no one within 5 yards any direction of Brian Thomas, and he just chucks it over his head. Like, he could have lobbed it like a softball, and it would have got there. But no, he throws it over his head, picked off. It was just that the whole night, and it's been like that the whole season. It's just awful.
And since they've been 8-3, they've lost 8 straight games. Wrap your head around that.
They're bad.
That's crazy.
Well, and the offense just looks clunky. It looks like the end of his reign in Philadelphia, where nothing gelled. Nobody was on the same page. There was just no flow to the offense, and they paid Trevor Lawrence all that money, and they are not seeing a return on that investment. And I was listening to the Herd the other day, and Cowherd was talking to people that Trevor Lawrence, he's someone that he likes to play football, but he likes what football gives him, but he doesn't love the game the way he should if you're getting paid all that money and a franchise quarterback.
When you're a franchise quarterback, sometimes you have to sacrifice things, like your personal life. If you truly want to be the best and you want to get the best out of this league, sometimes you can't be home all the time. You got to put in those 12 to 14-hour days. And when you get home, when you see the wife, it's, hey, how are you? All right, you're going to bed. I got to continue to work. The NFL is not for everybody. And if you want to succeed, when you're making $50 million a year, sorry, you know what? Sometimes you got to put in 80 to 90 hours a week and sacrifice a bit of your personal life. You know what? His wife is never going to have to work a day in her life, so she should accept that for 6 months out of the year.
Well, and Tim Grover, Michael Jordan's trainer, he's written 2 books, and I've read both of them, and he talks about winning can be lonely. I mean, you look at Tom Brady. I mean, that was a big reason why he's divorced right now, is because he was so dedicated to his craft that it ended up where he wasn't able to be around as much as his Giselle would have liked, and because he was so focused on being the best and chasing rings, that you often see it. I mean, you see a lot of coaches, and a lot of coaches talk about it too, about how they have a better relationship with a lot of their former players than they do their own kids. And that's just the nature of it. It sucks, and it's not their intention, but that's all they know. They've known since they've been playing the game of football or gotten into the profession.
Well, Dylan and Ethan, did you guys hear Josh McDaniels a couple weeks ago talking about his work schedule in New England? Sometimes he said he'd always go home. There are some assistant coaches in the NFL where they'd sleep in the office, but he'd go home. And of course, by the time he got home, his kids were all in bed, but he'd go home. He'd at least see his kids, give them a kiss goodnight, go home, sleep for 4 hours, and be back at the facility. Again, it's not for everybody.
How more of them don't die just like from stress and just heart attacks. It's just insane.
There's a documentary, or I don't know if you guys have been watching the FX Aaron Hernandez TV show, but Urban Meyers had to retire twice because of health problems, and there's some people handle things better than others, but I mean, you look at some of these coaches. They don't look the elevated. I mean, look, you go look at Mike McCarthy. You go look at, or like even like Mike Zimmer. I mean, look at all the health troubles he had when he was the Vikings head coach. It's not easy, and there's plenty more, I'm sure, that aren't even talked about or that we don't even know about.
Most NFL coaches, guys, do not look like D'Amico Ryans or Brian Flores.
No.
Those Sean McVay. Or Sean McVay. Those guys are special. Yeah.
Hell, even KOC looks like he could still go out there and sling it.
Yeah, KOC looks good, but a lot of them, yeah, to your point, overweight.
We need more Andy Reid type body shapes. Just a big old pumpkin.
Just a big old pumpkin. Pumpkin.
I don't know. I mean, we have my NFL team kind of has one, and it's not working out right now. But Grant, who is your disappointing team of the week?
Well, we're going to stay in the state of Florida here, gentlemen. and I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were clearly caught sleeping this week. Maybe they're worried about the incoming hurricane that's going to miss Tampa Bay right now. But they took the week off last week because I think they got caught up in the hype. 2-0 to start the year. You just win in Detroit. You got the lowly Denver Broncos coming into your house at a noon, well, I guess 1 Eastern kickoff. And you just totally lay an egg on Sunday. Baker Mayfield was sacked 7 times. The Denver also had 1 interception, and the Buccaneers lost a fumble. And Denver averaged, I want to say, 4.9 yards a carry.
It's decent.
And Bo Nix had no turnovers. And I can't remember the exact. I want to say it was like 24-36 or 25-36. What are we doing, Tampa Bay? You're supposed to have this good defense with Todd Bowles as your head coach. After Denver struggled to do anything the week before against Pittsburgh, when you got Pittsburgh players laughing about how small the Broncos offense was because of the rookie quarterback, and you let them come into your house and beat your ass like that, it's frankly, if I'm Tampa Bay, just embarrassing. And a team I had high hopes on for this year. Again, it's only week 3, it's early, but you shouldn't. There's no excuse to get your ass kicked like this in the NFL against a team like Denver.
How much of it do you think was like, oh, they got out to a hot start, they just beat the Lions up in Detroit, they thought this is a game that, who knows, maybe looking back it's not going to matter, and who knows, maybe Denver's going to figure it out. The other part is too, Sean Payton was in the NFC South for 20 some years. I mean, there's not a guy that's going to know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I mean that Bucs roster has been very much together. I mean, there's not a lot of turnover on that roster. They've done a good job of keeping their core guys intact.
And Dylan.
So I mean, he's got scouting reports all the way back to most of their rookie years.
And that's totally fair. And to your point, Sean Payton faced Todd Bowles in this Tampa Bay defense 7 times when he was in New Orleans, and I get that.
And that's who Tampa Bay struggled with the most. I mean, when you go look at like Brady's tenure in Tampa, who did he struggle the most against? It was the Saints.
It was the Saints. But in return, the Broncos don't have the players the Saints had at that time.
Also true.
I understand coaching. Yes, it matters. You also need the players. You need the horses. But Dylan, I think it goes back to what you said. They got a little over their skis, coming out hot, beating the brakes off Detroit. They were coming home, and maybe, who knows, maybe they're looking ahead to Philadelphia. They got confident last week, and they took the week off, and they met a pissed off Denver team whose coach, to your point, knows a lot about their system and knows how to attack their weaknesses. And it's the NFL. When you're playing professionals, you're playing grown men. You can't take a week off. So, yeah, Dylan, I think you're spot on, but just for Tampa Bay to look lifeless, that's my disappointing team of the week. If you lose 20-17, and you only give up 2 sacks, and instead of Denver averaging 4.9 yards a run, and if they average 4.1, okay. And at least if Bo Nix has 1 interception, I can get on board with that. But to get your ass handed to you the way they did, when Denver's coming across 2 time zones, playing in your house in the heat where Denver's going to be in blue, it's just unacceptable. So that's why Tampa is my disappointing team. Yeah.
My disappointing team of the week is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. And this is a game that I felt like Brock Purdy actually played pretty well, considering McCaffrey out. I believe Kittle was out as well. And, Ayuk, who held out for pretty much all of camp, demanding this big-time money. And, I mean, how many drops did he have? I mean, the receivers did not help Purdy out at all. They had against a Rams team that we had very high, but they've gotten caught by the injury bug. I don't know if you're going to see a team that is beat up more than the Los Angeles Rams have this year, especially early on in the season. And they had a chance to put them down into a 0-3 hole, and they they didn't do it. They didn't capitalize on it. I think they were up at some point. They had to have been up 2 scores, not?
I think it was
point.
21-7 at one point, yes.
And you should not lose to that team. And you saw vintage Matt Stafford when he was playing for the Lions, just slinging the ball over. And, I mean, they were without 2 or 3 starting offensive linemen. His top 2 receivers were out. And they somehow just found a way. But there's no reason the 49ers should. And also, they're playing in Los Angeles. So it was a home game for the 49ers, essentially. If you watch the game, you could see that the Rams had to go on a silent count because because the 49er fans were so loud.
And, you can make the argument that the Niners have had the bad injury bug on offense, which is true. The Rams' whole team is hurt. That 49ers elite defense was healthy.
Yeah, and that's the other part of it, too. It's like this shouldn't.
And I get Hargrave tore his tricep, and he's out for the year. But where's the highest paid defensive player in the NFL? Where are you, 97?
Their top two highest paid people were MIA, missing persons report. I heard they're still looking for him in Santa Clara, actually. But we'll go over to
if we're gonna talk about most disappointing coaches, we're gonna have to talk about Grant and benching Juwan Jennings this week in fantasy.
Oh God, yeah, that was brutal. That was a brutal piece. And
solid 46.5 points on the bench.
On the bench, and like Ethan would know. There's not many Juwan Jennings fans out there, and I am the leader.
You're the biggest one, and yet you're still sad anymore.
And I still sad him. With Debo out, with Kittle out, all this other stuff. Yeah, so it was brutal week seeing Juwan score 3 times on Grant's part. Brutal.
Yeah, you were so excited on draft night when you got him.
I know. He's in my lineup this week, though. It'll be a day late and $1 short.
So he's going to score like 2 points.
Exactly. Yeah. It'll be a day late and $1 short. Yep. But you know what? Damn it, he's in there now.
Yeah, he's there.
But my team of the week is I'm going to go to the team Ethan's disappointing team played is the Buffalo Bills. I think the last couple of years they have they were very trading Stephon Diggs was probably the best move they could have made, getting him out of there where Josh Allen doesn't feel like oppressed or worried like a receiver is going to be complaining about getting the ball. They've gone down. They've gotten to a lot more 22 personnel, 2 backs, 2 tight ends. It feels like they finally have an offense and a roster that's more optimal for to win in cold weather in the playoffs. They're not relying on Josh Allen's legs. That's not their only source of a run game anymore. James Cook is an absolute stud, going to be a Pro Bowler this year, and especially it's been helping out the receivers. You saw Keon Coleman get his first catch. I think they scored their touchdowns on their first 5 possessions of the game, and it was over at halftime. So this Bills team, and Grant, you said it. We have the receipts now. Grant's already sweating about facing the Bills when that game comes along, and I think they should. I think right now, I mean, I would say that the Bills in the AFC have looked the best so far this year. Best team in the NFL possibly right now.
They easily.
Josh Allen is the MVP of the league.
Hey, we'll give Darnold some credit here.
We'll give Darnold some credit, yes. Same draft class.
It's early, True. But we'll say this. The AFC MVP is Josh Allen, and the NFC MVP is Sam Darnold.
That's fair.
All right. Ethan's happy. We're all happy.
Sure.
But, kind of like we said, Dylan, this was Josh Allen's time like Pat Mahomes in 2022 when they lost Tyreek Hill. Can you put on the Superman cape when you lose a stud receiver? Because the Patriots have shown, and now you could argue with the Chiefs these last runs here, the best Super Bowl teams have a stud quarterback, some really good possession receivers, Julian Edelman, Rashee Rice, and Juju, the year the Chiefs won it in 2022, and stellar tight ends, and a good running back. What do the Buffalo have? Josh Allen, stud. Shakir, he's a nice piece. Keon Coleman's going to be a stud. 2 good tight ends. Watch out for Buffalo.
So who do you got for your surprise team, Grant? Or your team of the week, I should say.
I'm going to stick in actually the same game I talked about last segment, but I'm going to go with the other team and give the Denver Broncos their credit, because I did not see this ass whooping coming. Like I said last time, I thought they're going to travel cross country, two different time zones down to that hot Tampa Heat, and I thought they might lose 26-7, but they went out there and they dominated. Like I said, Denver's defense got 7 sacks, 2 turnovers. They averaged 4.9 yards a carry, and they just dominated that game from the beginning. They got up 14-0, and they looked like a team who should make the playoffs this year. And I do have it down here. Sorry, Bo Nix was 25-36.
Efficient.
Was it like 230 or something like that?
Yeah, I think for 235, it was 6 yards a pass. But you know what? He did not turn the ball over once. And like I said,
that's the big thing. That's been the difference in their first 2 games. Is why they've been 0-2. Is he hasn't been able to hold on to the football.
Yeah. And like I said, they got after Baker, 7 different sacks. They made him clearly uncomfortable, and they came in with a mindset ready to win this football game. They were not going to be 0-3. They were going to go win, and they were going to dominate this game. So I'm going to give the Denver Broncos their flowers when they need it, because they win and they kick Tampa Bay's ass, which I did not see coming. So credit.
I don't think anybody did.
No,
it was when you look down at the scoreboard and it's like, wait, what? That's not a real stat. That's not a real score.
Seeing early, like watching the Vikings game and looking at the ticker, and when Denver was up 14-rip, I was like, oh, it's going to be a long day. I mean, they've scored on their first 2 drives down there in Tampa. Like, this is going to be a whooping, and it was. And Will Lutz, I think, was 4 for 4. So, and he made all 6 kicks. Not much else you can ask for. 7 sacks on defense, 2 turnovers. Quarterback doesn't turn it over, and your kicker makes all 6 of his kicks. It's a good day at the office.
That is a good day at the office. You got to take those when you can get them, because they don't happen often.
Especially in this league.
No. You want and that's why coaches have health issues.
Back to this, yes.
Ethan, what do you got for your week 3 team of the week?
I'm going to go the Commanders. I know the Bengals are 0-2 now, 0-3, but super impressive. Jane Daniels has easily looked like the best quarterback. As of right now, I'd say him and Neighbors have a large lead for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and we all know they're going to give it to the quarterback. Doesn't matter if Neighbors went for 5,000 yards or not. No, super. I mean, yeah, they gave up 33 points, but Daniels, had 2 incompletions or something like that? Like, just stupid numbers, ran it efficiently, and then he just made the throws when he needed to. Like, that team, if he just plays like that, they're going to be really damn good.
And Cincinnati is not an easy place to play. And they had when the Bengals made it a 1-score game, how often do you see a rookie quarterback on the road crumble? And, I mean, you got to give credit to Daniels, and you also got to give credit to offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury. Now, we've criticized, and rightfully so, Kingsbury as a head coach. But I don't think anyone's going to doubt his play-calling ability here. And, I mean, this is like a perfect spot for him as being an offensive coordinator. I don't think he's head coach material. But, I mean, that final drive, I mean, they went right down the field and just slit the Bengals' throats. And ended it.
Dude, I saw a stat. Besides, did they take a knee at the end? Besides that, Washington has scored a touchdown or field goal on every single possession in their last 2 games. That's just
all right.
That's crazy efficiency, and you're doing this with a new coordinator and a quarterback who's in week 2 and 3 in his NFL career, and still kind of a makeshift offensive line. It's better than what it was before, but it's still not that good. Like, it's very, very impressive from Washington.
Yeah, and the defense is not very good either.
No, and you can clearly tell next year in the draft, every single one of their picks is going to be a defensive player.
Yep. But let's go down to the college ranks for our week 4 team of the week. Ethan, we'll stay with you. Who do you got?
I'm going with Rocky Top, the Tennessee Volunteers this week.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
They've looked really, really good this year. This is definitely their biggest test. I don't really know if you can call NC State a test. They look like they got absolutely annihilated that game. But they held Oklahoma to 222 yards, including 36 rushing yards. Oklahoma averaged 1.1 yards per carry. And that, folks, is how you beat Alabama. That is how you beat Georgia. Make them one-dimensional and just completely shut that run game down. Their defense is incredible. Nico is an absolute stud. So, I mean, not a crazy stat game, 13 to 21 for 194 and a touchdown. Nothing crazy, but his touchdown.
He didn't need to be either. I think that game could have been that game could have been 50 to 14. And I think Heupel looked over across the sideline and was like, okay, let's just get out of here. We've got a lead. There's no way this offense is going to do anything against us. So let's get a lead. Let's not put ourselves in a tough spot, give our defense a short field, and get out of here with a win.
They got a bye coming up too. They're on a bye this week.
Do they? Well,
yeah.
Oklahoma actually had more first downs, but like we talk about a lot, the explosive plays. In Tennessee, I want to say had at least 5, if I remember counting right. So like that's what wins games. It's not just 15-yard drive or 15-play drives. It's those big hitters that are able to just kind of open everything else up for you.
Well, and also, guys, Tennessee, that defense got Jackson Arnold benched.
Yeah.
The so-called savior for Oklahoma came in, and Venables and his staff, they had to yank him out of the game.
And it's a question. You know, is Venables the guy? Because this has been a recurring theme with him at the helm of Oklahoma. Is the offense? There's just it's like watching the Jaguars. There's just no flow. There's no identity. They don't know what they're doing offensively, and they've got to figure something out. Because I don't even think this the quarterback that they have that is taking over for Arnold. I don't know if he's going to be the guy either. Because their O-line is terrible. They can't protect him. And yeah, he's going to be able to get out of it, but he's one bad hit away from it imploding.
I will say this for Oklahoma's sake here. This is, Venables' third season. This is their third set of starting bookend tackles. But also they have 5 new starters on the offensive line in general. I'm not making excuses here, guys, but when you're going up against a front like Tennessee's, and it's only your 4th game starting together as a whole new front, it's going to be a long day at the office. But it's still, Dylan, fair questions to ask because this, like I said, Venables' 3rd year, the defense has become an elite. But this offense, there is no consistency. And also, it looks like it's lacking playmakers. There's no one in this OU offense that can take the ball over the top of the defense and scare everybody like what they used to have.
Boy, that's what I was just going to say is is that a sentence you ever thought you'd utter? Is
Never.
Oklahoma lacks explosive receivers?
So you look at Oklahoma's roster and the players they're bringing in from the high school level. They have, elite linebackers, elite secondary players, and an elite D-line. But you're looking at their wide receivers that are athletes, and you're just like, what? They're the 3rd or 4th best option out there because everyone else is going to Texas, Georgia, Alabama, and Ohio State. It doesn't make any sense. Say that sentence 5 years ago.
So, Grant, what do you got for your week 4 team of the week?
I'm going to go with Ethan's game of the week last week, and I'm going to go with the Illinois Fighting Illini.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, getting a big win on a Friday night. And just because with the hype going into that game for Nebraska fans, that team, they had to be feeling pretty good about themselves. They're beating Colorado. They think the culture has changed. And anytime you go to Memorial Stadium, it's going to be a tough go.
It was their 400th straight sellout.
400th straight sellout. And Illinois was down 17-10 at halftime, but Bielema and his team, they just did not. They didn't back down. They kept going, and they got the game in overtime, and they got the win. And Luke, is it Altamea? That is how you pronounce his last name. 4 passing touchdowns for the Illini. I mean, that's a whale of a day at the office. And to get this confidence going for Illinois going into a big game again this weekend against Penn State, that's an impressive win. So I got to go with Illinois
at that too.
In a night game too, yeah. In a short week, having to travel to play on a Friday.
So that my week 4 team of the week here is I'm debating. I haven't decided, but I think since Ethan took Tennessee, which is going to be my top choice, I have it debating between, of all teams, Colorado.
Utah. Come on, Utah.
Utah was on my list.
And I gotta go with the Wolverines. They're my week 4 team of the week, and it was
we were doing so good.
I think it was or I could go with BYU because they
the Mormons.
St. Bill Schneider said that if they lost, he would shove a 5-layer burrito up his ass. And by golly, the Mormons delivered. And their social media team with an all-time tweet is once that game went final, they posted out some pictures of players celebrating, the fans celebrating, and the caption was, "Live Moss."
So good.
So good.
Soaking.
And I mean, that game was over.
Burrito.
Soaking with a beefy 5-layer burrito.
Yep.
Oh my God.
It seems like you know what? He's a lot better than the Florida 3-2-1 Noel, who said he was going to eat dog poop out of a cup and just disappeared on that.
Can you blame him?
No,
No, I can't.
No, but if you're dumb enough to tweet it out, you should be forced to eat it.
Absolutely not. There's nothing legally binding you to that tweet.
We talked about this earlier in the episode.
I'm not
Idiot.
the internet. The internet. The guy that tweeted out that said he was going to eat dog poop. He's the idiot. That I would say he's the one that's the idiot because the internet right now, you will never live this down. Like the fact that you actually were dumb enough to tweet it, you should be forced to eat it. And that even kind of rhymes. That's all I'm saying. And I'll give St. Bill Schneider credit. He went, I wouldn't even make him shove the burrito up his ass because he actually went to Taco Bell, put in the effort, and went and put it in the freezer so it would go. So, you know what? I would give him a pass. All 3-2-1 Newell had to do was have a cup of dog poop, tweet out a picture, and it was like, I'm going to hate this or something. No one's going to question it. That's dedication right there.
No, they would still say, where's the video? For sure.
Someone would. But Dylan, to your point.
Someone would, but the fact that the guy just completely deleted his Twitter, that's where you can't just back out. And then, and we're looking ahead here, but, Mississippi State, they play Texas this week, and our enemy of the people, Brandon Walker.
God,
sometimes he can be kind of funny. This is what he tweets out: if Mississippi State loses to Texas in football this week, I will eat a 22-ounce ribeye steak cooked medium rare with a baked potato covered in butter while drinking a moderately priced glass of red wine. That's well played.
That sounds pretty nice.
Yeah, because it's not even punishment. That's just a good dinner on a Saturday night.
I might do that if Michigan throws for 50 passing yards.
Now that's a good over/under.
It's a very unrealistic possibility.
That is a good possibility.
I thought about picking them. For my team of the week, but I was like, you know what? 32 yards passing, I could do that. No.
Well, you didn't, so we don't know if you can or not.
I certainly can. I could.
Hell, I just got to throw it 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, get those
And
big
then
boys
let the
going
run.
on a tunnel screen and let them go.
Get out of his way, it's fine.
I'm not actually throwing it in the air, Dylan.
No, I don't need to. I just need him to run.
It's
So
all
then
yak,
you're putting
baby.
it under the receiver's hands.
counts
Just
the
gotta go
same.
with trust the yak.
Absolutely. We're trusting the yak here.
But so yeah, that Michigan game, it was it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. We can read some of our tweets during that game here. Let's go back. Dylan, are you okay after that turn of events? This was after they got the strip sack, and then the USC running back stripped Kenneth Grant and got the ball back. No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
And then Grant said that it's got Iowa State vibes from 2 weeks ago with the same announcers. And somehow this clicked in my head is maybe if I mute the TV, vibes will change. I don't know how much it did, because then after that, Edwards fumbled. I yelled at the TV.
What'd you yell? We gotta tell the whole story here. If some
Say
dude's
the
gonna
expletive.
eat shit out of a
Say
cup,
the-
you gotta say what you said.
Say the expletive.
No, I don't.
Yes.
I said the F
You
word.
said you're reading text, and so if you're just reading text, it's only one side of the story. You need to say everything.
I'm reading what was said as after USC took the lead after the fumble. It was Michigan had him 3rd and 15, and the safe Makari Page had like concrete in his shoes. I send out the text, shoot me in the head. Don't tempt me with a good time, says Ethan.
I remember that one. That was
Me?
funny.
Oh, well, we won the Natty with the gif of some guy pouring bleach into a cup. Ethan goes, turns out orgy was not the answer. Then just some boring NFL talk. Oh, well, Michigan won the Natty. Nobody cares. That's what people who have never seen their team win, one says. And then after, it was also the right before that final drive, I'm watching it and kind of down in the dumps. And then you really go down in the dumps is when Brad Nessler comes back on. At this point, I turned the TV on. I was like, whatever, who cares? Oh, well, we won the Natty. Is the Brad Nessler comes on, and Michigan has yet to get a first down in this half. And I turn into Bob Uecker from Major League. That's all we got? One hit? One goddamn hit? I was like, we haven't gotten one effing first down this half? And then all of a sudden, you see Khalil Mulling, and I'm also like, Big Cat, the video that Ethan, you and I were talking about last week. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. And then that Mullings comes out, and I'm like, all right. I text you guys, we just need 17 more yards of the 2023 USC defense. We got it. And pandemonium. And I still had to sweat it out. USC got the ball about to midfield, but Michigan was able to hold them off. And all is good back in Ann Arbor. But that was my Saturday. So let's go up to the week 4 in the NFL. Our game of the week here. And there's a couple of good ones on this one. But since I'm starting here, I'm going to take one from Grant's team. It's going to be, and I'm not sure how I feel because I don't know if Herbert's going to play a whole heck of a lot or not. If he's hurt, he got pulled last week. But it's Chiefs Chargers. The Chargers, their injury bug has already started. Bosa was hurt. Derwin James is suspended. It's the first Harbaugh-Reed matchup. It's going to come down to the Chargers' health. I think the Chiefs have not looked great so far this year. They're 3-0, but it's not been like the dominating Chiefs that we are used to. It's been, the Chiefs capitalizing and they've made plays, that championship pedigree we talk about. They still have that. Travis Kelce has been non-existent this year, but they're still the Chiefs. They're still 3-0. They've got an elite defense. Chris Jones is an absolute menace, And that's somebody that the Chargers are going to have to find a way to block. They've got good tackles. The guard and center is a question mark. So that's going to be a mismatch right there, especially against Justin Herbert. Yep.
Dylan, bad news on the Chargers front. Both of their tackles are out. Slater and Joe Alt.
Already?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And also, I don't know. And the reason I didn't want to interrupt you right away, but this would have been one of my games of the week. But Derwin James is also suspended because apparently he forgets he can't hit people in the head. And then Bosa left last week's injury game with a hip. So I don't know if he's going to play. But yeah, they are out there 2 tackles.
Yeah, so it's like it's coaching malpractice to put Herbert in there, honestly.
Yeah,
you're going to lose anyway.
On that one. You're still 500.
And and to Ethan's point, it's malpractice because Quentin Johnson, yeah, he's playing well, but he hasn't faced anyone like Trent McDuffie yet. And then I like Jalen Watson to be able to get Ladd McConkey, and Spags is going to be just bringing pressure left and right. And Herbert, he could be running for his life, and there's a chance that thing gets rolled up on. To Ethan's point, or Dylan, to your point, maybe just going to the bye week 2-2. You're changing the culture. Get healthy. And don't ruin your whole season to try to win a week 4 game.
Well, and the other part too is I'm looking at the Chargers schedule here, and after the bye, so if they go into this 2-2, they've got they go to the Broncos, they go to the Cardinals, both winnable games. They have the Saints at home. We don't know what they are still, and then they have the Browns and the Titans. So I mean, you're looking at them going the next 5 games. They could easily be 4-1 in that stretch, and they're right back in the hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But anyways, Ethan, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So guess what? The last 9 regular season games. Guess the highest Mahomes has finished as like the weekly quarterback, like ranking wise,
like fantasy wise,
or just fantasy.
11.
Dylan?
20th?
12. 12 is the highest he's been. So it just kind of shows you how different this offense is now.
And he seems to be pressing. Like, he's throwing interceptions that he shouldn't be throwing.
And they rarely ever stretch the field vertically anymore. They don't have anyone. Except they have Worthy, so that one
doesn't. Yeah, but well, Ethan, I think teams are literally taking that away. I think they're playing that cover 2.
Yeah. Like Mel Kiper was losing his mind about.
Yeah, like Kiper was losing his mind for. So I think there goes that. But just some other stuff, like he seems to be pressing and trying to get that big play when he doesn't need to.
Yeah.
Like the first drive last week against Atlanta, they're moving the ball down the field. They're dinking and dunking because that's what the Falcons are giving them, and that's what Cincinnati gave them the week before. And then they call up a shot to Noah Gray where he's trying to run the corner route in the end zone. And Jesse Simmons comes out of nowhere and picks it. And it's like, Patrick, how many times did you play Simmons in Denver? If you should know that he's going to come screaming across the field. And you know what? If you got to, check it down to Juju for 6 yards, there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, to your point, the frustrating part with them is it's the turnovers that they continue to have and just the bad penalties when drives are going well. They just shoot themselves in the foot. So.
Is that we're on to you guys for your game of the week, Grant.
It's my turn. Well, everybody loves Monday Night Football, so why not go to the Motor City?
I know where you're going here.
With the Seattle Seahawks and the Detroit Lions on Monday night. Seattle, they're 3-0, but guys, are they legit, or are they just played a bunch of nobodies? I mean, they played a Dolphins team last week with a quarterback who shouldn't be playing at the Division II level.
And then a guy named after a skin issue, a boil.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, the Dolphins are a joke, and Seattle, they struggled with Denver in week 1. But you know what? They're still 3-0. It's the NFL. Like Kirk Ferentz says, there's no style points in football. So they're winning games.
Their defense is legit, and they've done it without Kenneth Walker, their top running back.
Yeah. And, Charbonnet's been a nice pickup for him. So he's doing well. So we'll see what they're made of, Monday night when they go into Detroit. And these two teams, they played a good game last year in the regular season. I think the Seahawks got the win, week 2. But
Yep.
like I said, it'll be interesting because Seattle can come out and get a win, and they're 4-0 with the new regime. They're feeling good about themselves, and the Lions are only 2-2. And depending on what happens Sunday with the Vikings, if the Vikes get a win, anything can happen because the Vikes and Lions still got to play twice. But the Lions still also have to play a bunch of other good teams from last year too. And if you're 2-2 through your first 4 with still the teeth of your schedule coming up for you, that's not what you're looking for. So early on, this is an important game for both of these teams, and I'm excited for Seahawks Lions on Monday night.
Well, I think the big matchup there is I think the Lions got back to what they do best, where they can just bludgeon teams. How is Mike McDonald going to be able to counter that? Because I think the first couple of weeks it looked like the Lions they were pressing, they were trying to really they get too cute. It almost looks like they get too bored running the football, and they were trying to get Goff get him out to be an MVP candidate. And then last week they finally got back to running the ball, establishing it early and often, and they're going to have to in this against a really good Seattle front.
My turn.
It is.
I'm between 2 games. I don't know which one to do, but I'm going to go with my newly acquired running back and his team. So we're going Bills versus Ravens on Sunday Night Football. Actually,
that's gonna be a whale of a game.
Oh, going to be a fantastic game. I mean, Ravens coming off from 3/4 of the game, an absolute ass kicking down in Dallas. Bills obviously beat the living hell out of the Jaguars. So Ravens are a hell of a lot better than their 1-2 record. I'm pretty sure it's in Baltimore. So it's going to be very, very probably one of the more physical games of the year so far. Both of these teams are extremely physical. Maybe like a 2017 type game. I mean, I don't think it's going to be super high scoring, but I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. So maybe it will be some shootout somehow. But either way, going to be a really good game. 2 pretty evenly matched teams, 2 of the best in the AFC.
And I tell you what, whenever these 2 teams play, it's always close, and it comes down to one final possession.
Yeah.
Yep. There's always a critical turnover or somebody making a mistake late in a crucial situation. But let's stay with you, Ethan. Who do you got for your week? Let's go down to the college ranks. Your week 5 college football game of the week. There's a few some good ones, and then the rest of them are meh.
I struck gold last week with my pick, and I might as well go with one of the teams again. Illinois versus Penn State in Happy Valley. Going to be an incredible atmosphere. I don't think it's the whiteout, but either way.
It's no. I know that.
I mean, that place is always crazy, though. Like, they're freaking nuts. But Fighting Sandusky's don't back down, They just keep going. But it's going to be a great game. Altmaier's been fantastic. Penn State's looked good in spurts. I don't think we've seen their best football yet, but we've also said that for the past, 5 years. It feels like we haven't seen their best football. So.
They look a lot better. There's a lot more, I would say, flow.
Allers looked better than last year.
Allers looked miles better, more comfortable compared to.
They did look very good versus West Virginia. I will give them credit on that.
And that's the
Green
one
plays every team tough. Every time they've played a FBS team or a Power 5 team, they always give them a game.
Which team are you saying, Dylan?
Bowling Green, who they struggled with in week 2.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Oh,
we don't like talking about Bowling Green
because they also gave Texas A&M a game.
They beat Minnesota.
They're one. They
gave us a game. They sure gave us a game.
Mm-hmm.
A big old fat L.
And yeah, they lost to Texas A&M last week, and it's exciting. I didn't watch any of it, but it sounded like there were a couple of calls that were favorable to the Aggies.
Shocking.
NCAA cooking the books again.
It never fails.
Yeah.
Bastards. Well, I'm gonna go and guys, I'm gonna take the low hanging fruit here, and I'm gonna take I'm
Good
going
for
to take
you.
Georgia and Alabama.
I only had 2 on my list, so
Yeah.
yes.
I'm going to take Georgia and Alabama. I mean, it's going to be absolutely electric.
Where's it at?
It's in Alabama.
Oh boy.
Tuscaloosa.
And boy, with how high flying this Alabama offense is this year, if they can protect Jalen Milroe from that Georgia front who likes to move around and they're super big and they're super athletic, but if they can protect him and Alabama is scoring in bunches, and if Jalen gets his running game going, guys, I'm not sure Georgia can score with Alabama.
No, they can't.
I don't think they physically can. Like,
I started doing this last week in the Wisconsin-Alabama game. Joel Klatt kept saying, "Oh, this is the most explosive offensive group in the country," and I was like, "Yeah, right." He's probably right. Like
oh my god, yeah.
He actually probably is. They are unbelievable.
If there's one thing Kalen DeBoer is going to install in a team and install fast, it's a deep passing game, and these people are going to score in bunches.
I mean, they have a kid that can't even vote on their team.
Yeah, he's their best receiver.
He's killing it.
He's killing it.
Well, and we're going to find out about Kirby Smart. Did he have a Nick Saban problem, or is he going to have an Alabama problem? Because Kirby Smart is a couple of grenades in Alabama receivers' ACLs from being 0-6 against the Tide. Mm-hmm. So and I mean it's like the scared factor almost. It seems like with Alabama, where like they're are they on paper more talented than Georgia? No, but they probably weren't. They weren't last year in the SEC championship game, and probably in previous years. And Nick Saban has been on record saying that if Georgia ever got the right aggressive head coach in place, that is a team to watch out for because they are a wagon. And I think, that Alabama factor is always there, where it's like they put so much stock, they invest so much time, they put all the chips to the table into beating them. And then when they play, that you could say they play a good game and then they end up falling short, or, things just snowball downhill for them. It's like, here we go again. How do they handle that? And right now, Georgia so far has not handled it well.
No, and you guys look at them. It took them a long time to get going against Clemson this year. And Clemson had a couple bad second half turnovers. And then that Kentucky game, Georgia looked out of sync, and they looked lost on offense. And there was a pick six taken away that shouldn't have been taken away. But officials make mistakes and stuff, and shit happens. But I worry about this Georgia team and their explosiveness and their ability to keep up scoring wise with these best teams across this country. And that's going to be the matchup on Saturday night, because Georgia, they love to slant and move their D-line around. But if this big physical Alabama O-line, who brings back a lot of returning players, can keep Jalen Milroe upright, it could be a long day in the office for the Bulldogs. And I don't know, guys, if Georgia can potentially get to 27 points or 28 points in this game. I just don't know if they can. And it's a big testing mark for Kalen DeBoer and his coaching staff and the program they're trying to build, because he's been there for 9 months now. Well, guess what? Here comes the number 2 team in the country. And the last time, these Georgia players are going to be pissed off, because the last time they played you, Alabama ended Georgia's season last year by beating them in Atlanta. They kicked their ass. So they're going to be pissed off with that. And then also, so this is just a big game. And also, guys, look at Georgia's schedule this year. It is tough. They still have Texas. They still have Tennessee. And they still have Ole Miss after this. Holy smokes.
And this is another thing, too, that this is potentially a loser leaves town game, because of both of their teams' schedules. I mean, you look at like a team like a Missouri or an Ole Miss, their schedules are way easier. Like, Georgia should take it up with the SEC about how the schedules were made, because, man, did they get the short end of the stick there.
And, guys, I looked at Tennessee's schedule today. It's a joke.
Yeah.
Besides, of course they have to play Georgia and Alabama. But besides that, they play nobody. Like they should win every game in the SEC 38-10, minus those 2 games.
Do you want an early free bet? Alabama, Tennessee, take the over.
Yes. And I don't care, Dylan, if the over is 75.5. I'm taking the over.
Yeah. Just like 2 years ago.
Yes.
But we'll go to my week 5 game of the week here. And I'm going to go with 2 teams coming off losses. Oklahoma State, Kansas State. 2 teams that I think this podcast was very high on. And right now, this is kind of feeling like a loser leaves town game where both the loser would have 2 conference losses coming off extremely disappointing performances. Oklahoma State at home against who was
Utah.
And I mean, that game was 22-3 in the fourth quarter until Oklahoma State started moving the ball. Ollie Gordon is not, outside of week 1 against South Dakota State, he has not looked good this year. Alan Bowman hasn't looked great. It's just been one of those weird years for Mike Gundy that he frequently has, and then he's always those slow starts to the season, and then they end up finding their stride towards the end of the year. And then the Kansas State, we talked about with Kleiman at Kansas State is that he's just had some head-scratching losses, and this is one of them where nothing broke right. They had that scoop and score that Avery Johnson fumbled, scooped and scored, and right now it's looking like that Will Howard. They should have stuck with Will Howard, but and it just snowballed, and they just didn't have a shot. Like that just completely took the air out of that team after that scoop and score fumble, and they didn't recover. So how are these teams coming off a loss, especially where it's desperation time essentially, where if you fall but down to 0-2 in the conference, you're digging yourself a hell of a hole, and it's going to be tough to come out of.
And, Dylan, what's also puzzling about that Kansas State loss, they're coming off a week before where they bludgeoned Arizona.
Yeah.
And, they played BYU last year. It's not like this was the first game in the new Big 12. BYU was in the Big 12 the season before. So, yeah, to your point, it's just kind of a what's going on there, Coach Kleiman? Like this doesn't make any sense.
But Grant, before we get to curveball of the week, there was something that we said you have to do each show, and we have not done it. Last week you were gone, so you didn't get it. But you owe the Cardinals 3 compliments.
Oh yeah, the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
Well, so first off, I want to say
I think you got to say something from. Okay, go ahead.
What were you saying, Dylan? Sorry.
No, I was gonna say you owe them 3. I was gonna say you have to do one from each week, each week that they've played, but we'll just take 3 compliments from the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, first off, I think their facility and their stadium is great. Hosted multiple Super Bowls, and anytime we have a Super Bowl in Arizona, it's a nail biter, and it's a great game. So first off, I want to give the Cardinals credit to where credit is due. They have a beautiful, beautiful stadium, and a lot of teams these days are trying to go with the all-black look and can't pull it off. But you know what? The Arizona all-black look, I like it.
Interesting.
I like it. And probably my 4th favorite postseason run of all time watching a team was the 2008 Arizona Cardinals with Kurt Warner, Bolden, and Larry Fitzgerald. That postseason run the Cardinals had will always stick out in my brain and will always hold a special place in my football heart.
All right. So there's your 3 compliments for the Cardinals. We'll have one next week. We're going to put his feet to the fire to make sure he stays with it here. So, Grant, curveball of the week. Let's wrap this show up. What do you got for us?
So, I think I sent you guys a picture of this last night, but myself, Alec, and Alec's parents, they came over and we had a nice little bonfire in the fall here. So this is kind of an open-ended question. Guys, I'm just curious, in your eyes, is there anything better than a bonfire in the fall to end the evening, just kind of relax the night away? And if there is, what is better than that?
12 hours of commercial-free football.
That's fair.
What is better than a fall bonfire?
If there is one, Ethan, you can say there isn't, but it's an open-ended question.
On a bonfire with an old-fashioned, obviously with Buffalo Trace. That's better.
Fair enough, because I did not say if there was alcohol involved or was not.
I'm probably in the minority on this. But I'm gonna say it anyways. I think bonfires are kind of overrated. It gets smoky. It burns your eyes. Maybe it's because I'm allergic. I don't do well
I
with
just
that
think
type
you're
of
a
stuff.
wuss.
And then you get done. You got to shower again. You smell like bonfire. You can't sleep.
My God, you sound like Hannah.
Oh, well, maybe Hannah's just smarter than both of us. We know the truth. You guys are just it's all the nostalgia or the aesthetic, as you Minnesotans are sitting there and drinking it with your pinkies up, all fancied. And you know what? I'll go. I'll hang out. I'll drink some beers. I'll have a good time. But it's not always my favorite thing. I'm just saying there's better things. There's better options.
Okay, so I'm just curious. Can I hear one of your better options?
I told you 7 hours of commercial-free football.
Oh, okay. Oh, it was 12 hours.
Yeah, you said 12.
Well, I think it's 7. I think the saying is 7 hours.
No, it is 7, but I just know that you just said 12.
But I mean, well, my Saturdays, that's usually what it is 12 hours of but there is commercials, 12 hours of football from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., sometimes later, depending on the games going on. But usually it's the game has to be pretty good if I'm staying up past 10 watching a game. But, Oregon UCLA, that game kicks at 9 p.m. on Saturday night.
Dylan, is that 9 your time or
that is 9 my time?
Oh my!
I'm almost
God.
positive.
Look at that. No way.
I think it is.
So that's going to get done at 1:30 our time.
Yes. Oregon UCLA 9 p.m. on Fox. Oregon's 25.5-point favorites. So even that game Pacific time is kicking off at 8 p.m. No thanks.
And they said Pac-12 after dark is dead. Give me a break.
It's Big Ten after dark, baby.
Big Ten after dark. Oh, man. But
I think that wraps up the show. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. Make sure you drop a like, follow, subscribe on all of our social media pages. And we'll be back next week to recap and preview the weeks ahead. So until then, we'll talk to you next time.